Hello, everyone. My name is Satyen. I'm a partner and I lead the intelligent automation practice as part of digital technologies at KPMG. I'm joined here by my colleague Shreyashi and look forward to sharing some of our thoughts with you over the next few minutes. Intelligent automation is one of the critical themes impacting global digital disruption. And of course, the same applies to the ENR industry as well. We've seen this technology grow in leaps and bounds over the past couple of years, which means that there are more and more use cases that are now fantastic cases for intelligent automation. We've also seen clients and companies go from just select POCs or select use cases to an era of hyper automation or enterprise-wide automation, where we're looking at digital and intelligent automation seeping through the entire or each and every layer of the enterprise. Intelligent automation covers the entire gamut of technologies, right from robotics process automation to machine learning and cognitive technologies, and extends on the realms of AI. In our experience, we've seen the landscape being more and more impacted by intelligent automation. What that means today is for ENR companies, whether it be functions as core functions or whether it be enterprise functions, we know that about 60 to 80% of business processes are fantastic candidates for automation. The question no longer is what can we automate? The question no longer is how soon can we automate it? The questions now are more around what can we automate? We're actually exhorting clients to move to a digital first agenda, which means that every transaction, every business process, every value map has to be digital end to end. At benefits of automation in ENR, we're looking at enhanced visibility and analytics. We're looking at increased productivity and reduction of errors. We're looking at improved operations and productions. And of course, we're looking at improving the overall organization efficiency. Shreya, we spoke about some of these use cases. We've also tried to cover the value chain. What have you seen with your clients?
Right. So Satyen, thank you very much. And everybody, I'm Shreyashi Sengupta. I'm an executive director with the digital practice at KPMG. I co-lead the automation services purely with regard to risk and compliance. What we've seen of late is, higher levels of regulation and more challenging regulatory expectations in the recent years. And it's coupled with two things: greater demand for transparency, accuracy, and in the post-COVID world with the challenges of the current market, the role of RPA in the risk and compliance space has come to the forefront. We've seen several use cases of RPA to support components of compliance processes in a very cost-effective, flexible, and timely manner. Now, if we had to really break this down and just look at bots from a purely democratic perspective, if I may say so, two things. One is by the bot, and say the other is for the bot. If you had to look at by the bot, for instance, the energy sector being highly regulated and the industry faces a large number of internal and external compliance scrutiny, the regulators have also become very savvy with technology. The demand for timely and granular compliance is common. So in our experience, RPA has provided a unique value proposition for such requirements. And sometimes, and rather most of the times, a carefully designed RPA can improve the accuracy of records, the response time, with an added advantage of 100% review of the records rather than just a sampling-based assessment. We've seen that in your run-of-the-mill compliance reporting for SOX or your IT general controls, and in some cases we've seen it even for, say, OEM contract compliance monitoring or meter reading validation, so on and so forth. But Satyen, I will hand it over to you to talk more about the process-related automation that you're seeing.
Sure. Thanks, Shreyashi. And then, if I just look at, say, for example, the upstream energy landscape, we've got some very interesting use cases that have been deployed across, and I'm talking about core functions here: drilling and completion, production engineering. If we look at even field operations, workover operations, automating entire aspects of this value chain So this is just core functions that we're talking about. Of course, the whole gamut of enterprise functions, whether it be finance and accounts, supply chain, procurement, IT, HR. Today this specific part of the enterprise functions has exploded, and there are more and more clients jumping onto the bandwagon. Talking about midstream, if I look at that aspect, elements of pipelines where we are automating data collection, making it real time, elements of storage systems where we are automating inventory data recording, elements of operations, the hardcore operations where we are automating supply chain and stocking levels as well. Now, all of this is basically entitled to make sure that the business process becomes robust, the value that's driven out of the business process gets enhanced. Of course, we've spoken a little bit about real-time monitoring as well, and that extends itself to analytics as well.
Right. And Satyen, I mean, if I may add, I think the fusion between machine learning and robotics, process automation, is very powerful. Although both pose a challenge and a turning point for digital transformation, RPA can streamline rule-based business processes. ML algorithms have an extraordinary capacity to automate decision-making process. So in your view, I mean, have you also looked at all of this in the energy sector?
So yes, I mean, and also see, if you take a step back and look at various sectors over here, right? I mean, traditionally, the likes of financial services are the first ones to jump onto bandwagons of whether it be new operating models or whether it be new technologies. Manufacturing somewhere follows suit, right? The advantage today for companies in the ENR sector that haven't or maybe haven't really scaled up actually is a late mover advantage, which means that the entire pain of running through the technology, the entire pain of managing use cases is now done and dusted. The other advantage, and again, right, the beauty of being in this space is that the speed of technology development has just enhanced, right? Depending on who you talk to, and we're talking about COVID times over here, uh, you know, there are views coming in from the likes of a Google, a Tesla, and Amazon, or a Facebook, the big five that we talk about, to say that, okay, the last 6 months seems like 10 years of disruption that has fitted into 6 months, right? So a whole host of OEMs, and I'll come to OEMs in a second, but it's important to look at this as an ecosystem wherein the business functions are truly involved, the companies are truly involved in curating and developing these programs, supported by both. An outside-in view is equally important, to support it both by consultants and, of course, the technology vendors.
Right. And, I mean, what I've seen, the purpose of RPA is to augment existing human workforce, right? And with the proliferation and the use cases that you mentioned, from a risk and compliance perspective, it is essential to have a governance and monitoring process and a framework with a focus on secure and compliant port environment. Some of what we've been seeing, and not just specific to the energy sector, is an effective management of their cybersecurity, the regulatory compliance, data leakage, privacy, license compliance, so on and so forth. And I think, like any other technology, and it's true for not just bots, the governance structure is very, very important. And bots can misbehave just as a human being. And it's essential to put checks and balances in place so that it serves the purpose.
Yeah. So I'll actually extend. So I know we've been talking, RPA, but would really like to extend this conversation to the entire spectrum of technologies. So maybe if you start with RPA, which is, literally mimicking human activity. The borderline use cases that we are now able to implement are on the realms of artificial intelligence. Of course, machine learning cognitive stands out there somewhere in the middle. And the advantage here is that today we've got automation players who are encompassing the entire spectrum. So having said that, I mean, if I can just talk about a few of them, and we've got alliances with all of them. We work very, very closely with all of them. I think what truly helps is again a spirit of collaboration that has crept into this ecosystem in the last 2 to 3 years, right? It's about use cases being defined at any of the three places. So whether it be the client, whether it be consultants like us, or whether it be the technology vendors themselves, all of us are individually curating use cases, trying to extend use cases as well. So if I just look at the pure play intelligent automation players, there's the likes of Automation Anywhere, UiPath, and Blue Prism, the top three that we work with. We then also work very, very closely with Google, IBM, and Amazon, right? Because what we've seen here is to say that maybe a mix of these technologies, and again, the beauty of being a consultant here is that we are vendor agnostic. We are here as management consultants to solve client problems and issues, not married to a specific technology. So that again lets us curate these technologies, bring to our clients the best of what's available in multiple boxes, and then of course build on top. So maybe another specific example we'd like to talk about is using Python libraries to then supercharge what the base automation platforms actually do, right? And that's again the beauty of technology again today, is to say that we could take a platform from vendor X, build using open source technologies on top of that to make it look like a completely different product that can just do so much more. So I think that again as an advantage is available to clients today, wherein they can not only utilize what the core first, whatever the core functions of the technology is, but of course can supercharge on that as well.
Absolutely, Satyen, and you make a very, very valid point. I mean, in terms of embracing bespoke, RPA solutions, especially Python, which provides that layer or an API. I mean, we've seen several use cases because it is conducive in the environment. I mean, there may be lack of skills, lack of trained resources. Something like a Python can be easily managed within the organization. You don't need special licenses for it, someone to just maintain that, and the use cases again are plenty.
Right. So I actually also like to talk about creating center of excellences or COEs within specific organizations to run these programs. What we've seen is that as intelligent automation programs get more and more democratized, it means that they need to be governed right. You made a great point on governance and risk prior, but I think it's important that as organizations and as our clients, we start to design, develop, and implement a COE which then manages this construct, right? I think if I had to make maybe summary closing points, it'll more be around we have to look at digital being end to end. I think we're continuously pushing clients to look at digital as an end to end. So it's not about creating just a fancy website or creating just a nice mobile app, but at the back of which everything remains traditional and manual. That's not digital in the true sense. So A, of course, look at digital end to end. B, what we've also seen is that we have to learn to scale, right? So it's about extending intelligent automation and digital transformation to various functions of the enterprise. So you have to scale. Gone are the days where it was digital for digital's sake, just so that somebody could keep a trophy on their desk saying, I've got 5 bots running in the organization. I think those days of 5-10 bots are gone. The size of the sector that we're talking about here, whether it be Indian or global, is huge, which means that the number of use cases plus the volumes that we are dealing with are at a completely different level as compared to some of the other sectors that we look at. So there's a fantastic opportunity over here. So of course, scale up is the name of the game. And the third part is more around how do we get started. I started by saying that it's no longer about what can technology do. So it's important that the assessments that we are doing become that much smarter to make sure that the use cases that we're talking about then start to deliver value for these clients. I'd just like to end by saying that digital transformation or intelligent automation is not just a technology-only project. There are elements of transformation and change around it. A whole host of people, processes, and technologies do get impacted, and it's important that we look at it from a transformation lens as well. Thank you, everyone. It's been great talking to you. Thanks, Shreyashi. Nice to see you again, albeit in the virtual world, and wish all of you a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.